And we're live. Huh? Okay, cool. Sure. Okay. Yep, yep. Okay. Yes, I'm being picked up. Good. Ah, good. Good. That's really weird. Uh, there we go. Getting you follow. Stanley Parable 2. I've been through this part. Something that says your name.
whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature.
I am now Jim.
Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Jim.
All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Jim.
See, if you'd
Jim.
only played along,
Jim.
that would have
Jim.
been your
Jim.
name the button
Jim.
says. But
Jim.
no.
Jim.
Instead,
Jim.
oh,
Jim.
I can't
Jim.
even think
Jim.
about it. I'm taking the Jim
Jim.
button away.
Jim. Jim.
No,
Jim.
the Jim
Jim.
button.
Jim.
Oh well.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Oh well, that's locked. Yeah, okay, I did most of this last time. The last stream, but still. Oh, that's good. That is good.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap fall. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Yes, I can. Or I can see if this hole is infinite.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Nah.
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall?
Yeah, you can follow. You can sub.
I figured the hole was as deep as
for
anyone
free
would actually
Prime.
need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited. Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Didn't do the starting
admittedly,
string.
I didn't make
Whatever.
an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh. How could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity.
Hey, Nero. I'm getting the whole ending. Nice. How are you? Yep. Yes, it did. Yeah, I'm alright. Honestly, this is probably the best game that's going to be released this year. At least in my opinion. That face. Okay, which one? Nice. You gonna do the... You gonna play that? Or you gonna stream that? Fair enough. Yeah.
Stanley?
Yeah.
Stanley! Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of
Yep.
dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
And that's the whole ending.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
That's one of the endings. See, that's what makes the Stanley Parable so good. It's got so many endings. Well, that and the narrator. I'm not sure how many there are. Okay, no screenshots of this. Oh, I think the Stanley Parable has 12 endings. Oh, Cormac would like this one. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration.
Yep.
Like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Let's go with Get Well Someday.
Sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece,
I like
it
blue.
is.
Blue's cool.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle?
Yes.
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece,
amazing
then.
artist. Wonderful person. Definitely someone you should check out. The Twitter and... Yeah, exactly, as Nero said. Amazing person.
Now,
and Nero
here's
hasn't even
something
met
special.
her.
You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well,
An
I'm
amazing
developing
artist,
a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken.
And then there's
I'm not
YouTube.
a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel.
That is
to
true,
at
you have
last
seen it,
satisfy
that.
the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen. What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Okay, that's out of order. Because I got it last time.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
Okay.
Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Okay, that's everything there.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul.
I'm not surprised at that, honestly.
To work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
This one's got the jump circle. And the infinite hole.
I mean, there's potential
and the
here,
balloons,
right? It's sort
and
of...
the button that says gym and collectibles.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
This one, same again.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait.
Yep.
Maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for
this
the
is such a
vision
jab
and
at
integrity of the
Rockstar.
original game.
It's honestly
Would it possibly
funny.
work? I suppose it could, but it would
really
need a
funny.
really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Okay. I'm now playing the Stanley Parable 2. Wait, I should have watched that. Oh well.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Yes,
Perhaps
very
he had
much
simply
so.
missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket.
Very, yes, Red Dead 2. That definitely did not live up to the hype. For me, at least.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone?
That's fair enough. But then again, you also have other reasons. You have other
Stanley
reasons to
clutched the
dislike
bucket
that.
tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket.
Yeah.
I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. No. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and
Ooh,
convenient?
good question.
That your life
Yeah,
is
Buck.
so
That's a
banal
good
and
name.
meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments.
It is.
Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Yeah. The broom closet can't have this.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There.
Yes.
Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket.
It's a bucket.
Now, the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Oh, the broom closet bucket ending is my favorite. How could the cleaning closet? Yeah, good question. Nope. Oh. Oh well.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Yep.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
Yes, the bucket guides me.
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
The bucket is smart, yes. Now, what ending should I go for? The elevator ending? The bottom of the screen room ending?
The
Happy
elevator
ending,
raced
sad
downward,
ending, or
plummeting
museum ending?
towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will
Happy
be
ending,
fine.
okay.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
Oh wait, there's a...
Mind Control
Yeah, that's
Facility.
The bucket will help me, yes.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to
Although then
themselves.
again, the bottom of the mind control facility ending has rock. But yes, the bucket.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as
No.
well? Had
It's
the
all
bucket
right,
been
bucket.
told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do
Employee
or not want to do in the first
427.
place? These questions raced
This is the
furiously in
office.
Stanley's feeble mind.
See? No, there. Yeah, we love the bucket. The bucket's great.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one
Free
except
ads.
for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart
One
of
ad
the
per
operation.
hour.
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality
I'll
of
wait
his past
I'll
began
wait
to
until
sink
you
in,
say that you've finished.
Stanley decided that this machinery would never again
get the
exert its
ending.
terrible power over another human life. For he and the
Progressive
bucket
ad.
would dismantle the controls for good.
The insurance
Two
company?
best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Nice. They high-fived in a cool, really cool way.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness.
What
Was
happened?
it over?
I'm getting the happy ending. Sorry, well, you were away.
Yes, they had done it.
Exited the mind
Stanley
control
and the bucket
facility.
had defeated
worked
their
for another
greatest
room.
and darkest enemy, freed themselves
Yes,
from
they
the
are.
tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support.
Stanley does have an amazing friend, yeah.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No,
I mean, that's
no,
fair enough.
Stanley can't leave this place.
We do.
Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it.
It is
Stanley
sad.
realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me,
It
right?
is.
I'll be okay,
It really
won't I?
is.
Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Yeah.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hey, we
Stanley
got the
lifted the
bucket.
bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Yeah. Now, left or
Stanley
right?
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay. I'll go to the left.
still no one was here, Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find. Coming to a
Up or down?
staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Down? Okay.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had
This is a
left
good
his
ending,
post
this
during
one.
work hours. He might be
And
fired
the
for
normal
that.
one at
And in
least.
such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in
But
his
then again,
arms.
this isn't
Am
the
I
original.
crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's
And it's still
bucket,
got the
perhaps.
stickers
How
on
did
it.
I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who
Where's the
knows what
bucket
sorts
gone?
of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt
It
himself
did say
floating off the
property of
ground.
Stanley, yeah.
Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Okay. Similar.
Mariella woke up on
exactly
a
the
day
same.
like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
Yes.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks
I know,
ass.
right?
And she backflipped all the way to work.
It is.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
So left or right again?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Right. Right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him,
And
telling
again,
him
left
that
or
the
right,
employee
shortly.
lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
So left or right? Right. Right.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo
Now,
lift, yes.
should I jump onto
go
the
there.
catwalk?
Go to the cargo lift.
Go onto the other side? Or jump down? Catwalk, other side, or jump down? Jump down? Okay.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How
Help
deeply it touched him.
Stanley! Nah. It's all good.
All of his co-workers
Yes, he
were
did.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was
Yes.
home. Stanley
Left or right?
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room?
And again,
Yes,
for the
Stanley
next
thought to
choice.
himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Okay.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them
Lift.
detoured through the maintenance section and walked
Lift
straight ahead to the
or
opposite
straight
door.
ahead? Okay, straight ahead.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find
All
answers.
good tips there.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
No? Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the
Yes.
bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
So now you have, I think it's 4 choices. Sad. The bucket is smart, yeah. You have sad. So museum, sad, elevator. Okay, sad ending.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read
Oh, that's sorry, escape.
Mind
That's
Control Facility.
no, that's not the escape ending. Oh yeah, of course. Forgot about the escape ending.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to
If you get
themselves.
Steam, I will buy you this game. I promise you. I'll buy it for you.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
It's honestly is quite reasonably priced.
Was the bucket under the
But it
mind
is
control facility's
such a
influence
good
as well?
game.
Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust
Such
no
a
one
good friend,
except
the bucket.
for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Birds. Which one? Eagle or whatever that is? Yeah. These look like seagulls. This one? Okay. Flamingos.
Stanley
Oh,
flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley
Do the same?
was happy.
Fair enough.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message,
Yeah,
please
there's an ending
terminate
here.
it immediately
Two endings,
and
actually.
cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Did I take the... Do you want to see this ending, or a further ending? This one? Okay. Yeah. Right. Maybe it's not in the Stanley Parable 2. You need to... Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. Yes, it is. Oh.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Are you sick of the gag yet? No? Okay.
Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer?
Yes. Our
Perhaps you
artist
never would
is-
even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this
Is it?
whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to
No,
have
not
heard
worth it.
all the narration? Oh, and this is rich.
Okay.
Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option.
Our artist
Indeed,
is an
you are
amazing
one of the
person.
lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen
Really
to,
friendly.
then perhaps you're not. In fact,
I'm just going to say that no one who's
long.
listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come.
Okay. Begin the game again.
How
So,
wonderful.
Go
Stanley
for
was
the
alone.
other.
Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary
Well done,
into the
game.
nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Yeah, please do check out Dylan on Spotify, YouTube, and YouTube. Again. Okay. So, got those
All of his
endings?
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
So, left or right?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh yeah, you said next elevator. That's right.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was coming to a staircase. Stanley and the
Okay, I'll
bucket
go right
walked
next time.
upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I'll go right next time. Yep. Cool.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again.
Okay.
Bucket said nothing. we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely... Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly. No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see.
Yeah, the bucket
feel
doesn't
the
understand
happiness
the
I
number
feel.
3, the power
He
of the number
smiled at
3.
the bucket, and the bucket said nothing. Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
Yeah. Bucket is still better than 3.
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Okay.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work. For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
427.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one. There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means.
The bucket is
to
having
press
fun,
the number
yes.
3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit.
only a silence that consumed the space between friends.
It is.
And Stanley,
Well, the sad ending
having
in
for once in his
the
life
original
discovered
is
the warmth and
sad.
comfort of
Is
true
very sad.
companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Hmm. Oh.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
So now left or
Stanley
right?
took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Right? Right. So now,
said the bucket.
across or
Don't go to the
catwalk?
meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Catwalk. Okay.
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
This is new.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simply enough,
Okay,
right?
do I get it
This should
right
tell us
or
everything
wrong?
we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Wrong? Okay.
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Okay.
Item 2.
Right or wrong?
Is this a bucket?
Okay.
Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Okay. It's because they don't have
Item
bucket
3.
stickers on them.
Is this a bucket?
Right or wrong? Okay.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Right.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
I know, right? Right or wrong? Yes? This is a bucket? So do I get it right or wrong? Correct.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much
It
for you.
was.
Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this
Right
a
or
bucket?
wrong? Right? Okay.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Really, I should be asking
Item
yes or no?
6. Is this a bucket?
Yes or no? Is this a bucket or not? No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
How is it both?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Yeah. Yes or no? Is this a bucket? Yeah. Yes, this is a bucket.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Is nothing a bucket? Oh.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this.
Is the
I'm
narrator
losing
a
myself,
bucket?
and myself was all I ever had to begin with.
Yes?
I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No!
Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And
Everything
we'll
is
know
a
that it's
bucket.
all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
That is more confusing than the confusion ending.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it
It
a
is,
sign of
yes.
something? He hoped it... Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Okay, so left or right? At the intersection doors there. Left?
Stanley
Okay.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Okay, now there's another ending here. Do I go back out or do I go in? So keypad or back out? In? Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it
Now
the
you've got
bucket
two
all
options.
along? Was the bucket guiding him?
The
This is certainly the
escape
most logical
ending
explanation.
there, or the bottom of the mind control facility ending. So museum or okay, bottom of the mind control facility. Cool.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Or bucket.
What to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility.
It's still Friday for me for
He'd
another
never
hour
gotten
and 10
to
minutes.
fully explore what was up there. Never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Okay.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
So left or right? Oh, that's
Stanley
cool.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Right? Right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Yeah, I will. Left or straight? Right? Right.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
No,
He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket
there are two
asked.
options that you have. And after this...
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Answer
Now pick
or
up the
cut?
phone, said the bucket. Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Pick it up? Okay.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from, me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket, this stupid hunk of metal. It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
It does.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say?
It's also got very odd,
more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Okay.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Sorry. Wow. No, I've not done that in too long.
The embrace of an old friend.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where coming to a staircase. Yeah. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket
get the speedrun achievement?
Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Well, I guess you're going to see the... You're going to see this ending, the museum ending, that's it. Yep.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control for... Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
A week after
the door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
I met up with another friend.
Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Yeah, that was Yeah, I've got some good friends. You included, Nero. You are a good friend. A really good friend. Yeah.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace
we've
the
still
bucket,
got the
but
bucket.
what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Now, why would you have this in an office?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket. You were standing at the precipice of knowledge, much like a bucket itself. The human mind is frequently empty within a cavernous void, but through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and sustained. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept it with an open mind? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? Okay, see you, Nero. Bad voice.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
It actually hurts.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Oh, okay. Nope.
But there is something we can do,
Please do check
something we can do
our
together,
YouTube channel.
you and I, that will right this terrible
And also
wrong.
Cormac. It's cool.
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Oh. That would hurt. Actually, not really. You'd be dead pretty quickly.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping in.
Okay, this is the escape ending. Oh, okay. Going 58. $7.59. $7.60. Yeah. This is the escape ending. Bucket gets to escape, but not Stanley. Hey! Ah yes, come chat on the Discord server.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
What? Oh. Okay, that's fair enough. The bucket escaped. I'm sorry, Nero.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you. What? Really?
Yes.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why,
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look,
Hey.
you found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines.
Nice.
Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Okay.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with... No, wait. Where are you going? Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley. No! Oh, thank God. No. No, what are you doing, Stanley?
you're slow.
Please, I'm asking you not
That
to
makes
take this
sense.
away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go
Now
back
you're
to the
much
other
slower.
room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore.
Much slower.
I just wanted us to get along.
Which makes sense.
But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it?
Yep.
I'm going back. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hey, nice. The bucket's back.
And try not to lose this one too, you dolt. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Gonna get the Not Stanley ending.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking.
Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half. Pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Dunny with the funny.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy.
Heard anyone use
Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Okay. Yep.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we have the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Oh, where's the bucket sticker gone?
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp.
Yes, we've got the merch store. I'm not sure where my hoodie is right now, but I have one. It's nice. It's a nice hoodie.
Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Okay.
No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame?
Oh, it's Unity.
What's
Not
another word to describe a
Source.
bucket?
Right.
Stanley,
Yeah, we have
I
an
think
Instagram
it's
if you want to
mental.
follow us
I think
there.
I saw him playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
All of his co-workers, not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh, it's got this bucket sticker again.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Need to complete this in under 4 minutes 22 seconds. I think I got it. Such a good game.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Although I'm not sure, because I've got the bucket.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the
Quite
bucket been
possibly.
told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Right.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So amazing artist. Please do.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Well, on the fourth time, then it'll work. Rather.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
You can just reset it, I think.
Now the monitors...
Yeah. Just gonna reset it until I get there. Right.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Train, lots of boxes, stairs, something to do with stairs. Nearby fireplace. Huh. Okay, it's interesting.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Had a smelly place.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This,
Nice,
you know,
nice.
there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I
Yeah.
think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Okay.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Okay.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Down the stairs, maybe? Yeah, maybe.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic
neither of
sense
them
of
are good.
happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Here's the door, just go.
Good. Fireplace, though. Where would that be?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
So boxes.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. What a room, Stanley. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oh, what's that? Huh.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Game ending.
Here's the door, just go. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images
I remember
on a screen.
you, yes.
And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this
Thank you
place.
for following. And congratulations on the first follower with the new effect, the sound.
It was too horrible to believe that it couldn't be true. Had Stanley been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was having it all? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Cool.
It was the heart of the
I think I might use a similar app. I'm not sure if it's the same one. But thank you for stopping by,
All of it monitored and commanded from the
and thank you for the follow,
As the cold reality
and have a good time
Stanley decided that this
with what you're doing. It's always nice seeing you. See you around.
and a rising chill of uncertainty. Yes, he had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed
Yes,
from the
please do
machine's
check out
grasp?
Dylan on
What
Spotify,
other
YouTube,
mysteries
and
did this
YouTube.
strange building hold?
Yes, he has two
But
different
as sunlight
YouTubes.
streamed into the chamber, he
Technically
realized none
three
of
if
this
you
mattered
count the
to
stories
him,
YouTube.
for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the
Yes, I
cool
got the
breeze
achievement.
upon his skin, the feeling of liberation,
Perfect.
the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly
Nicely
the way,
done, me.
right now,
And it
that
got an
things were
achievement
meant
that I
to
got in
happen.
in the standard
And
version of this
Stanley
game.
was happy.
Admittedly, I've gotten all of those, but that's beside the point.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
I'm gonna try
Perhaps he
some
wanted to
game
stop by the
ending.
employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open
That's
door
one
on
of
his
two
left.
places I can think of for a fireplace. No, the only
Stanley
place.
was so bad at
Oh, yeah,
following
you can check
directions,
us
it's
out
incredible
on
he wasn't 5 years ago.
Anchor to get links to everywhere that we
Look, Stanley, I
upload the
think perhaps
podcast.
we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. What? Really? I was in
Yes.
the middle of something. Do you have
Yes,
zero
really.
consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
No, he didn't.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood.
No.
Stanley
I
walked
didn't.
through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so
Stanley
badly
did
what's
not
out there?
go
You want
through
to
the red
find
door.
out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see, there's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Okay. Hmm. Oh well. I'm ranked last.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep
I'll
notes
install
on
an
your
auto-clicker and do
experience.
this at a different point in time.
You heartless bastard.
That's the
Did you
only
do it
one
because you hate
only
babies
ending
or
I have
purely
not
to spite
done.
me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley, and it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
I have not played this game. Should I?
Oh no.
Probably.
No, it can't be.
Heard it's good.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any
What is this
possibility that
silliness?
you could get lost
This
here.
is the
Now,
Stanley
this
Parable
is game design.
Ultra Deluxe.
Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this
It's
game,
a
I will be
great
phenomenally
game,
impressed.
and welcome, Cormac.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun. Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I... Hold on. What are you doing?
Oh, okay. So that's how you
Stanley,
get
don't
here.
do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley.
This is an amazing game. Highly recommend this. It's so stupid, it's great. What's the ending from here? There, I guess it was just a timing thing.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Okay, I was wrong about that. There must be somewhere else with the fireplace.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But
You know,
eager
that guy
to get back
in
to
that
business,
video that we
Stanley
talked about
took the
in
first
episode
open door
12
on his left.
would really like this game a lot.
Stanley was so bad at following directions.
I mean, it's
incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
You can practically do nothing in it.
Look, Stanley, I think
Except
perhaps
follow
we've
the
gotten off
story.
on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it,
Fair
Stanley.
enough.
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley.
He would love that. This.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on.
Yeah,
did
we
you
did.
actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
And it really does depend
This
on
is
the
a very
game.
sad story about the death of a man named
Really
Stanley.
does depend on the game.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he
Although
returned
really
to
did
work
bring it
was a
on
reminder that
himself.
none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went
He
further.
would love
He
this game.
imagined
It's
that he
making
came to
jokes
two
about games
open
on
doors
rails.
and that he could go
Except
through either.
he wouldn't get the
At
jokes
last,
and just praise the game
choice.
for being linear
It
and allowing
barely
the game to
even
present
mattered
the
what lay
director's
behind
vision.
each door.
Yes.
The mere thought that his decisions would mean something
Yes.
was almost too wonderful
That's
to
very
behold.
true. That is very
As he wandered
true.
through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors
only
and
Dylan went
mind
into the chat.
controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby.
Hello.
And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer
That
down some
realised
new path,
that's,
mustn't there be?
that-
Perhaps if he played
the-
just one more time.
That
But there
maybe
is no
the
answer. How could there possibly be?
the director's
In
vision
reality,
for
all he's doing
a
is pushing the
non-linear
same
game
buttons he
or an
always
open world
has.
game
Nothing
is
has changed.
just that,
The
for it to
longer
be
he
non-linear
spends here,
and
the
open
more
world.
invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he
Let's
remains
check
here,
out our
he's
artist
electing to
on
kill
both
himself?
Twitter and
How can I
YouTube.
get him to see what I see? How can I
Amazingly
make him
kind
look at
person.
himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. and I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Video games aren't
I
movies.
tried
The
again,
controller makes me the
and Stanley
director.
pushed a
Everyone
button.
who worked on the
And I
game
tried.
up to that point are merely developers. True. Very true.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
The game is what you choose it to be.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
A fireplace. Nearby a fireplace.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Listen there.
Here's the door, just go.
I'll get the proper sad ending. And the proper the control floor.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
That'd be it. That'd be where the fireplace. That'd be. Wait, was that the fireplace? Gonna have to check again.
The lights rose on an
Okay,
enormous
so-
room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control
that's the rock
facility.
music.
Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section.
You're still going.
You won't hear it anywhere
do
else
this
in the
in a-
game.
Yeah,
It's a secret
right, it
that's
is
just for you.
amazing.
That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the
narrator
Mind
really
Control
makes this game
Facility.
good.
Well done.
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. But railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
The narrator is amazing.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go. And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here, and now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Yes, you can find the podcast pretty much anywhere.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
That is near a
Stanley thought to
fireplace.
himself.
I don't know.
Did he have the strength to find out?
But whatever.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy,
this is for Nero.
or sad, or content.
This part.
Walking, eating,
You wanted
working.
to see the sad
All of it
ending.
monitored and commanded from this
We got
very
the bucket
place.
sad ending.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine.
You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in
There's
mind.
nothing that
What
can
a
be
shame
done.
we have so little time left
Stanley's
to enjoy
gonna
it.
die now.
Mere moments until the bomb goes off.
Ah, yes,
But what
the
precious
music
moments each
in
one of them
our
is.
podcast.
More time to talk about
The music
you,
that we talk about, rather,
me,
sorry,
where we're going.
can be
What all
found
this
in both
means,
of
I
those
barely know where to
links
start.
playlists.
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
Except for the intro.
A moment of
That's not
solace
in either
before
of
you're
them.
obliterated.
The intro
All right,
and
I'm in a
outro
good mood.
words.
You're going to die
That's
anyway.
all, but that's
I'll
also
tell
on
you
the YouTube
exactly
channel.
what happened to them.
I haven't been able
I
to
erased them.
get
I turned off the
Spotify
machine. I set you
to-
free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story.
Spotify
Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in
to
your office
upload
forever, pushing buttons
stuff to
endlessly and then
YouTube.
dying alone.
with good
Other
reason.
times, I let the office sink into the ground,
But
swallowing
still,
everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
That's
Oh,
true.
dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That
Nice.
timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after. Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment
was
of your
well done.
entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time. Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain?
The
We were
Cormac
so
shout
innocent.
out.
We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Definitely should check them out.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around by the red and blue doors. You did that,
good.
Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Nice. So that'll probably be about 7
Hey, that's
weeks, I'm
exactly
guessing.
right. It was here in the boss's bathroom. It was the third one. You
Where
picked it
you're-
up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory,
Where you'll
but I
get-
shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that
You'll
it's
be back to
impossible to
Australia,
forget your
probably?
third time doing
I've
anything.
never moved house, so I don't know how long it takes.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened. This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so
for you to
clearly.
get back to streaming.
In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Oh, that resolution.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Yes, link to sub with Prime on mobile, and also the link to the merch store. You can buy hoodies and such.
And then, Stanley, then we came
Beanies,
to the
actually,
last
that's the
collectible,
latest
the final
edition.
figurine, right here behind the boss's office.
Yep.
This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others.
Yeah.
Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to
one is
myself,
good.
yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like. And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just
It's the
go
unloading.
backwards.
That was the
We'll do
unloading
the memory
screen.
zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Okay.
Okay, yes, the back of the boss's office. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep
Really?
going. I want more.
Are we going to get the video
And
again?
here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
That video.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Yeah, it's good enough, I guess.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Or are you talking about me with that?
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the Figlarines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
The jump circle!
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
I guess. Oh, okay, fair enough.
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
The starting screen.
Yes, I'm remembering something now.
Oh.
I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes.
I really recommend checking
Perhaps
him
I
out.
needed to imagine I had companionship.
Working up his
And
way
Stanley
to
really did
affiliate.
make for a wonderful
He doesn't
companion,
talk
even
on the
if he
stream,
was a
but he
fiction.
is active in the chat.
I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again.
Yeah,
I want to go back to how it
Nero,
used to be.
he's
Yes, I can be on my
great
own
guy.
again. I can do it.
honestly.
I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Right, I guess that'd probably be the end.
How wonderful.
Stream. Except for this. Oh, of course! That's how you get the button ending. Anyone you'd recommend raiding, Cormac? If you're still here. Oh yeah, okay. I'll just get up the ending screen. Okay. Oh. So is it just Tinsera? Yep. As always, I will be. So just Is that the right one? Person there? Yep, cool.